to the city streets, we began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night.
Yes, good afternoon and welcome to the listeners and viewers of the West Indies Cricket Development Academy TV program. With me today on the show is Hall of Famers Leon Francis, President and founder of the Cricket Show, as well as a Hall of Famer, and Brother Dale Brown, Executive Secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame. And somewhere in the background, we have Junior Codlin, CEO of the West Indies Development Cricket Academy. We're here today because we want to take a brief opportunity to look at the upcoming West Indies and England ODI series out here in the Caribbean. First match begins in 2 days' time. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome Leon Francis. Leon Francis, say good afternoon to our listeners, viewers.
Pleasant good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers, and of course the wonderful panelists we have this evening. We hope that we can make a good presentation of this upcoming series, West Indies versus England.
Brother Dale?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Mr. Heath, for your kind introduction. And I'm happy to be here with my fellow panelist, Mr. Leon Francis. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we know that the England situation that coming into the West Indies, England, of course, returning from their last tour here, where the last ODI series they played against the West Indies, we know that the West Indies beat England 2-1. But in their previous matches, England have won 4 of their last few ODIs and lost 5, while the West Indies in turn have won 6 and lost 8. We know in terms of the ODI rankings that West Indies sitting at number 10, which is just 2 positions above the last of the established test international team. That is, I think, is Bangladesh. It might be Bangladesh. And England is sitting at number 6. We haven't yet seen the squad from England, but we know for sure that there is one player coming back to the Caribbean who has some connections with the Caribbean, coming back playing for the England. But we have the team for the West Indies squad, which is Captain Shai Hope, Jewel Andrew, wicketkeeper, Casey Carty, Ruston Chase, Matthew Ford, Shimron Etmire, Alzari Joseph, Shamar Joseph, Brandon King, Evan Lewis, Gudakesh Moti, Sherfane Rutherford, Jaden Seals, Romario Shepherd, and Hayden Walsh Jr., making up number 15. In this squad, West Indies has omitted Alec Athanase and brought in Shimron Etmire, and that is the one change I think that they've made from the series squad that's just completed that match in Sri Lanka. Dale, can you give us your take on the current squad with no change coming from the last series in Sri Lanka, the last match that the West Indies won so heavily?
Okay, yes, thanks, Dennis. Yeah, the one change, it's not really surprising because Athanase did not perform well and we can understand why Hetmeyer would be brought in his place. I'm not entirely happy about it because we don't know what really happened over there and what the remedial measures will be taken by West Indies, the administrators, to make sure that this youngster, who is also a test player, does not get any mental, emotional damage from this drop, because he has been dropped. Otherwise, from that, the only other question mark would have been Hayden Walsh, but as been pointed out before, Walsh perhaps was victim of, wet ball conditions may have contributed to his poor performance. And we like to use a right arm leg spinner in our team. That seems to be the modus operandi for the West Indies. So we will see whether or not his inclusion over maybe more economical finger spinners like Kari Pierre from Trinidad, if it will be justified this time around. Those are my opening comments about the team.
Thank you, Dale. Leon, what is your thought on the squad so far? Any changes that you think should be made or should have been or should not have been made in regards to this team?
Thank you very much, Dennis. Just before we begin, though, let me tell you that the team that tour the West Indies for the ODI is out as well. It's Leon Livingston, the captain, Will Jacks, Jamie Overton, Reham Ahmed, Philip Salt, Jordan Cox, Jaffa Cohen, Adit Rashid, Reese Topley, Dan Mosley, Jacob Bettel, of course, in a native Barbadian born, Sam Curran, Michael Keel Pepper, and Jaffa Archer, another Bajan, Saki Mahood, and John Turner. I did not see a change per se. Of course, lots have questioned the inclusion of young Walsh. And Walsh has suffered a lot. And what I like about Walsh is that he never seemed to have refused an offer from the West Indies. He will be there whether he's playing or not. And when once they call him to even practice in the nets, he's there. So, and then like what I just said a while ago, he had a wet ball to bowl with on that occasion. He can be one that could be very expensive, but he could be an ideal person to get that wicket and let us get a breakthrough. So I wouldn't have any need to argue about the team. We just wish them well and hope. Well, I don't expect, to be honest, to see Joel Andrew playing unless the wicketkeeper is out. And as they list him here as a wicketkeeper, I believe that he could play a great part in that area as well. So I just say, I hope so up. I think they are. And apart from, of course, Puran, I believe this is a good side and they can beat England. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. Junior, I see you're back. What are the possible changes you think that should have been made or should not have been made to this squad?
Yeah, good afternoon, viewers, and good afternoon to all of Famer, Dennis Seaton, Hall of Famer Leon Francis, and the Honorary Secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame, Mr. Dale Brown. I like that Maya is back, but
Exactly.
what I can't, it is beyond me to think that they would have left out Alec Athenes, a young and upcoming batter for the West Indies, can also offer a bit of spin like in the past, Ramnaresh Sawan used to do, the former West Indies captain. So um, you know, it it baffles me to know that Alec Athenes is left out, but an informed Sherman Meyer can never be discredited. So um, the West Indies clarity around picking it Meyer is something, and this is the absence now of before series um, press conference where we can ask the thinking behind certain players being selected and so forth. And a proper explanation should have been given why Alec Athenes is not needed at this time. But nevertheless, we have a competent Sherman Meyer, and we expect good of him. I would want to see them not include Jaden Seals in this team against England. So I would have made a change where that is concerned, bringing in an extra batter at the expense of Jaden Seals, seeing that we have Romaria Shepherd and Matthew Ford, Azari Joseph and Shamar Joseph back into the mix. So, but Darren Sammy is the chief selector, is the head coach, he's everything. And so at the end of the day, if we don't win the series against England, we know just who to blame.
Well, thank you, Junior. One of the comments made earlier is that we wanted, or at least West Indies expect to use in a leg break bowler, basically, is what we're looking at. And Hayden Walsh was pointed out as not having arrived yet. What about the possibility of Yannick Karayev? He's a leg break bowler too. Would you have included Yannick in place of Hayden Walsh, Dale?
Well, the last series that we played against England, Karayev played in all 3 games. We won the series, but his contributions were minimal. He didn't do much. But that is a very good question asked, because you wonder what has he done to lose his place, or what has Walsh done to replace him.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Leon, would you think that having Aiden Walsh and Yannick Karayev battling for the same spot in the team is a good thing, or is it one, pretty much the same for both of them?
Yeah, I think it's a very good thing, because here you have 2 competing cricketers trying to get themselves back into the fold. What I like about Walsh is such an extraordinary fielder. And Carrier, he can bat. And I like someone who is able to use his bat. Everyone should be able to bat, but not everybody can bowl, nor everybody can field as well. So I think it's a great rivalry, and I just hope that they don't looked at as being left behind. These are players that they need to be keeping close to them, and in the end, the better will come out on top. I like it, and I hope it doesn't cause any problem whatsoever. But what I heard, though, gentlemen, that there was some confusion between the Shamar Joseph, coming out of England. I don't know if you guys heard that he left unexpectedly. So perhaps we can touch that later in the show.
Thank you. Junior, do you think that Kyle Mayers deserved a place in this West Indies this West Indies ODI squad?
No, not on merit, because if you would go back, you would see that his performance in the last ODIs that he played was subpar. But in Barbados against New Zealand, he was very good, but he's more of a T20 player at the moment. So his non-inclusion into this ODI team does not baffle me at all. He's been considered and picked for the captaincy of the Barbados team that is now in battle with Jamaica. And presently there's a rain delay. And so once he shows what he's made up of in this let's say championship, the CG United Super 50, then maybe for the upcoming Bangladesh ODIs, we can give him a look into. But as for the players that are there so far, they are the players that put up their hand for this assignment.
Thank you. Dale, are you surprised that Hossein and Puran are not in this ODI squad?
Where Puran is concerned, I think is more a matter of availability. And once he's not in the squad, I presume he's not available. I know he was in India and he just signed a contract for over $2 million to play for the Lucknow Giants. He will be the captain of that team. So it's not surprising that he's not there. Hossein, I believe I was told that he's a new father. So that may be responsible for the reason for him not being there.
Okay, thank you. Now, somebody mentioned earlier the mental and emotional damage of being dropped. Now, Shamar Joseph was dropped from the last ODI against Sri Lanka. Now, there's rumors floating around that there is some issue going on, that he left early primarily because he was unhappy with being dropped. Are you aware of any explanation being given by Cricket West Indies for what is now floating around as, for what is being floated around right now for Shamar, early departure from Sri Lanka and currently being back in the squad, in the team? Mr. Codlin, can you shed any light on that for us?
Yeah, Joseph was not dropped. He asked to be released from the team a little earlier than expected when the team had just 2 days to go out of Sri Lanka. But bearing in mind that they were slated to be landed in Antigua, and so that would have been an extended time away from home. And so urgent need might be there for him to go to, and might be the reason why he went on to Guyana, and he took care of that, and now he's back. If it was anything serious other than what we perceive at the moment, then he would have never been included in this team to face England tomorrow afternoon. So we're glad he's back. International sports these days afford players to go out and come back in. And, it happens with other teams as well, where for India, their captain Rohit Sharma will be missing from the first test. And Jasprit Bumrah will captain India in the first test, and Rohit Sharma will be back for the other 4 test matches. So it is something that we have come to used to now in international cricket, where players go out for various reasons but come back into the fore.
Once again, we want to welcome our listeners and viewers of the West Indies Cricket Development Academy TV, and hope you will stay with us and come back again when we have our next session. But for now, let's look at the 15. Leon, we have 15 members in this squad. That means 4 players will not get to play. Which of the 15 players you think should be omitted from this squad, at least from this first match?
I'm looking at the squad. Joel Andrew, to me, unless there is an injury to the keeper, I think he'll be out. I don't see Jaden Seals playing also. Shamar Joseph is a toss-up between, I don't know if they'll play 3 or they'll play 2. I think Chase, not Chase, well, Walsh should go. That's 3. We had 1 more left to go. Perhaps Matthew Ford. Matthew Ford.
Matthew Ford. Dale, you heard Leon's 4 players who won't make this first match. Do you agree with Leon's selection there?
Well, first I will say that, of course, Hope will play.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Ruston Chase will play.
Mm-hmm.
I do not see how they can omit Matthew Ford based on the performance in the last game and compared to the other pace bowlers in Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Alzari Joseph will play. Brandon King, Evan Lewis, Moti, and Rutherford will play. Those are, for me, are 8 persons who must play. I expect that Hetmeyer will play, and I expect Carty will play. So that's 10. That leaves 1 of Walsh, Shepherd, Seals, or Andrew. And as Mr. Francis said, I don't expect Joel Andrew to play. So the other choice is between Shepherd, Walsh, and Seals. I was not at all happy with Seals' performance in Sri Lanka. The stadium, what is it called? North Sound in Antigua. I expect a lot of runs to be scored, and they will have to go with the most economical of the bowlers that will be on available for them. And unfortunately, Walsh is not economical. Seals certainly is not economical, and it makes you wonder if that leaves us with Shepherd, because last year against England, just about almost a year ago, he was very successful, had a very, very good series against them. Of course, we know that doesn't carry over to now, but I believe he may be the best choice out of those 3 bowlers, because you have to go with accuracy. And if Seals is going to come in and leak runs the way in which he did over in Sri Lanka, it will not bode well for the team.
Thank you. Junior, we see Joel Andrew. He's coming home to Antigua. He was selected for the last match against Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, rain prevented him from getting in there. Plus, of course, the magnificent performance of Evan Lewis and Sherfane Rutherford. Would you, in this opportunity, play Andrew in place of Casey Carty?
Definitely. Worse is at home. But him being at home and looking at the first ODI, 2 ODIs are slated for North Sound there in Antigua. They can go with the gamble of playing him in the first game and leaving him out for the second, while they can leave him out for the first and play him in the second. But a young player looking to build his confidence. Remember, we have a World Cup in 2027, and that will be in Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Africa. Conditions that are similar to that of St. Lucia and Barbados here, and Jamaica here in the Caribbean. And so you need to build a team, and the West Indies at the moment are looking to build a ODI team. And if you give Joel Andrews enough opportunity by 2027, he will be a seasoned player for the West Indies. And therefore, at home, where he performed admirably well in the CPL there at North Sound, you would want and you would be tempted to give him the first ODI to see what he's made up out of and solidify his place within the West Indies team. And so I think Coach Darren Sammy and Captain Shea Hope should really look to think about giving Joel Andrews an opportunity in the first ODI, and if not in the first ODI, but certainly in the second ODI. You cannot wait until you reach Barbados to give him a run again, because what you want is to give him enough that you know he will bring out a performance, and what a way to do it than at his home. It will help to bring out the crowds. It will help to bring out the supporters in Antigua and Barbuda who want to gun for this player. He's the brightest thing that come out of that Twin Island state since Sir Vivian Richard. It's been a while now since Antigua would have produced a batter in a youngster like Joel Andrews. Shea Hope was keeping while Andrews was playing the other day, and so therefore um, they don't have to ask him to keep. He can play as a pure batter. And I think just for the reason of him being at home, it should afford him that opportunity to rub shoulders once again with our better players and with players from the opposition team in a very good team as England.
Thank you, Junior. Dale, Junior has said he would play Andrew and omit Carty. Do you agree with that statement?
Carty, I believe, is one bad performance away from losing his spot in the team. One bad spot, one bad performance. I think the way he acted in Sri Lanka while he was batting with Shafane Rutherford, if we can stay in our living rooms or wherever and notice it, I'm sure that the powers that be must have noticed the manner in which he was somewhat, I don't want to say disrespectful, but he seemed to think he was senior to Rutherford in the manner in which he was gesticulating to him. So Mr. Codlin has brought up a very good point. I, however, would tend to play, once Andrews plays, you cannot drop him. I would prefer to see him come in the second game and then move on to Barbados. But if he comes in that first game, you have to invest in him for the entire series.
Yeah. Dale has said you have to invest in Andrews for the entire series. But if he fails in number one match, would you invest in him continuing for the other two matches in the series?
Entirely agree with Mr. Dale. I thought perhaps he was given a good opportunity, and it seems as if that they are putting more the price on his value to the West Indies team. He is a talent, and they don't want to see him, lose his place. To me, the fact that he is a wicketkeeper gives him more opportunity too, because they may want to just say, let us use him as a keeper instead of a batter. But we know that he can do both. And he also is a good fielder as well. I like how West Indies is doing it. If he comes in, I wouldn't mind. I would be happy for him. But if he doesn't and they keep him there, I'm glad that they have him on the side. He is a talent, and we should use him properly so that we don't destroy him. And when one sees there more Kevin Thomas having been come back, I don't know if he's correct, but he too might be back in the field again to see if he can make it for the Leaguers. But it's all about Joel Andrew. Let's hope that he's been retained and he's not wasted, put him in a position where he's forced to fail.
Junior, Matthew Ford and Jaden Seals, those two would very likely be battling for that inclusion in there. Would you pick Matthew Ford over Jaden Seals for this first match?
Without a doubt. Matthew Ford made his debut against England. He had a very, very good outing against them. He had a very good outing in Sri Lanka in the one game that he plays in. You have to play him. He must play. It's common sense. And he will be played. And the um, the stadium in Antigua, while it is not entirely conducive to fast bowling, but it is conducive to the bowling of Matthew Ford. And it would be a grave mistake of West Indies not to play Matthew Ford tomorrow against England.
Dale, England in their last three or so match series of ODI, they defeated Ireland 1-0. They lost to the West Indies 2-1. And of course, they were beaten by Australia in that series 3-2. How do you see England's performance against this West Indies team?
Well, right now, England is a transient team. Many of the stalwarts or those who played against West Indies the last time are missing from the squad because they are now firmly entrenched in the Test cricket. And those are Zach Crawley, the Test opener, Duckett, also the Test opener, Harry Brook, the number 5 batsman in England, the number 5 at position in England, Joss Butler, who is out through injury, and he's the captain. And then we have guys like Kars, who just bowled quite well against Pakistan. He's not there. Ahmed, who is not there either. And Atkinson, the fast bowler, is not there. Ahmed is the spin bowler. They have been replaced by Topley, Jofra Archer, Adel Rashid, Jamie Overton, Dan Mosley, Bethel, and Jordan Cox. Now, it's a young, untried squad, and they're not playing very well. But England is always dangerous, and I think right now they are very vulnerable to the West Indies team, especially West Indies should have the added incentive and confidence, knowing that we always play well against England, and we beat them the last time they were in the Caribbean. So England, with a new captain who has a lot to prove, they are going to be under the gun very much this time around.
Thank you, Dale. Now, Junior, we see that England has a lot of noise being made around young Jacob Bethel because he was born in Barbados, coming back to his land of birth, and he seems to have made quite a start to his young career in cricket. What can you tell us about Jacob Bethel that West Indies should be on the lookout for?
I don't really know a lot about Bethel, but what I can say, and it happens here in my home country, where um, players that are overseas, we encourage them to come back, or those that are connected to the country, we encourage them to come back and represent the country. West Indies have no form of policy like this. And so this is the reason why we are losing a Java Archer, Bethel, and many of our better players to other countries because they embrace and encourage them to play for them. While we're not doing that, we're only looking at our subpar players in our subpar Lycée Championship and 4-day championship. What we should look to do is to encourage these players to come home. When you look, for example, here in our home country, Jamaica, when we encourage Brandon Nash, that had a Jamaican father, but born and grew up in Australia, he came and played for the West Indies, was vice captain for the West Indies, and helped the West Indies to win a lot of test matches during Chris Gale's time as captain. So there's nothing wrong in inviting these players to play for the West Indies. But because we don't embrace them and we don't encourage them to come home and play, then they will have to represent another country. And kudos to Jacob Bethel and to all those that represent England. Because if the West Indies don't want you and another country want you, it would be nonsensical to turn them down to play for an island or a country that doesn't require your service. So it baffles me and it is a great loss for West Indies not to have these players representing the region.
Thank you, Junior. Leon, you think the West Indies is capable of rising to the occasion and taking on England in this series well enough to take this series again? It's a 3-match series. What is your prediction as to where, the final disposition of this series?
I think West Indies are capable. But just to go piggyback a little bit on what Junior said, I've followed that over the years. You find that West Indians don't seem to want to welcome back their players. These days, when last did we have one? A player coming back to play for us? Or you hear some derogatory message sent to them, that they're as if they were not welcome. England does that constantly. If you follow the history of England cricket, India, even New Zealand, they're getting players from wherever they're able to do so, and do it at the expense of winning. So I'm not happy with the policy we use, but we're going to be able to equip with what we have. We hope that they rise to the occasion. They seem to have a tendency of sometimes rising to one or so games, but we want to see them fulfill this task by winning the series, the ODI series, and then do your best in the T20. We cannot afford to be down near the bottom of the table. We can do better than this, and I feel they can pull us 2 straps up, and I feel that we could well retain the championship, the ODI.
Thank you, Leon. Dale, we've seen the team management or managers going from head coach, team manager, assistant coach, physio, strength and conditioning, masseurs, team analyst, media and content officer. What we don't see is someone such as a psychologist attached to this team, to the squad. Is this a omission because they're playing at home, or is this omission because they do not have such a member of staff on board?
Sir Dennis, it's for the latter reason, and it is born out of ignorance. Any professional team, sports team, the common practice now and the realization and acknowledgement of experts worldwide is that these teams must have a sports psychologist at the very least available to members of the team. Sports persons are not much different from anyone else, but because their performance can be easily measured, all you have to do is look at a scorecard or whatever, and you see how well the person did. It doesn't tell you what caused them to fail or what caused them to succeed. But what you do know is that it's very difficult for them to handle what we perceive as failure. And with the advent of social media and other platforms, people come at them in different forums. And so they need to be protected. and they need to know the thought process, what they are going through, if they have problems at home, whatever it is, you need someone to explore with them and to comfort them and to give them strength when they feel down and out or beating up on themselves. So it's a glaring omission for me, glaring and disappointing to the core that we have not moved forward in this manner.
Thank you, Dale. Junior, we've seen the West Indies have included 10 additional team management positions. Do you agree with Dale that a sports psychologist is an essential element that is missing from the West Indies team management 11?
Definitely, it is a major concern. But what can be account for it as well is that they're looking at the financial aspect of it. But what can be add is that they can encourage the coaches to take a course in psychology as it regards to mental well-being of the players and how to help them to transition out of a stressful situation and circumstances and it not factor into them and their performance on the team. You know, stress can help you to be better and it can break you down as a player because you can use the stress as a motivation to go out there and do well. When we look at the former West Indies vice captain and two-time World Cup winner, Marlon Samuels, his frustration is always pointed out when he's bowling, when he's batting, when he's feeling. That's how he shows his frustration. It tells you that he has a great amount of control over his mind and he practice mind power. And so he distribute it by the way he hit the ball and go about his thing on the field. What we have with our players nowadays is that they don't know how to deal with stress. And so it breaks down their style of batting, their style of bowling, and their entire character as it regards to the cricket field. And so a mental coach, if you will, would help to eliminate some of these things and more and less channel it into how they play the cricket. If you are hungry, you are hungry by showing it when you bat, by showing it when you bowl. Not bowling recklessly, not batting recklessly, but putting out your anger in a very disciplined and controlled way. You make that make you want to score more runs. You want to prove a point on the field. And that's what a mental coach would help our cricket to be better. For example, when you look at players getting out by the same shot all the times, you wonder if they are sick in their head or something. It's not really that they are sick in their head, but it is really because every coach that we have on this West Indies team lack mind power. They lack how to tell a player to deal with their issues, to deal with their problem. They lack the capacity to tell the player that you get out by that shot. So when that shot come into your brain to play it again, don't play it because it gets you out the first time. So it will get you out the second time. So it's called weeding and seeding. Our players are not practicing that. So a mental coach is very, very crucial and it's lacking in West Indies cricket. And until they employ one, our cricket will continue to blow hot and cold.
Thank you, Junior. Leon, you heard the comments of Dale and, of course, Junior. How do you view those comments?
I view them as points to help improve a team. You don't have to be batting, but your mind is what will determine, where you go. And I like to have seen Marlon Samuels, he may be upset, but he takes it out the way. When Stokes comes up to him, he stand up with him. Then, Viv you stand up for him too. So I'm saying that is something needed in the West Indies cricket, and something should be done immediately. We can't afford to, just because you come from a small island, you're never accustomed to a large crowd. You should be afraid of the magnitude of the population in the grounds. We can do better. I often write to my guys and say, if you believe you can, you will. And you can do it if you believe you can do it. If your mind going to tell me there's a scare, you're going to have some fear and you will never achieve your goal.
Thank you very much, Liam. Now, from my perspective, I'm looking forward to the match on Thursday, and I certainly will be here, and I'm sure we would invite you to come back and join us. It should be exciting, it should be interesting, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing Evan Lewis and Shafane Rutherford back in the saddle. I'm sure they have a lot more to offer to us, and I'm looking forward to a very interesting, entertaining, and eye-popping match. So I'll turn the mic back over to Junior for his closing and ending of this particular session today.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ethan. Thank all the viewers. Remember to subscribe to our channel. The game will start in the afternoon tomorrow, and we will be with you on Friday to review the first ODI between West Indies and England. And we are covering England tour of the West Indies 2024. And as you see running down at your screen at the bottom, we thank the Cricket Hall of Fame for being our main partner here. Cricket Hall of Famer Dennis Heath, thank you for hosting today. Cricket Hall of Famer Mr. Leon Francis, also the president of Cricket Show USA and Blog Talk Radio. Thank you for joining us. And Cricket Hall of Famer Honorary Secretary Mr. Dale Brown, thank you for joining us. To all our viewers worldwide, thank you for joining us, and keep it locked to our channel for all the latest on West Indies cricket. You're going to see it in your posts, you're going to see it in video, you're going to see it everywhere here on this channel, and we're closely following a product of West Indies Cricket Development Academy, Joel Andrews, as we have been doing on this channel, giving you preview of him and giving you his life story and how he comes up, and his involvement. Will continue to produce things like that for you, the viewers, and we certainly are hoping that he will get an opportunity to play tomorrow in front of his home crowd. I'm sure the stadium will have a few more people there if they learn that Joel Angels is playing. So we do wish the best for the West Indies team, and we hope that tomorrow they will start off with a victory. Thank you for joining this evening, and we hope to be back with you on Friday reviewing the first ODI. Whether West Indies lose, win, or draw, will come back. It's our pledge and our duty to cover this entire series starting tomorrow afternoon there in North Sound, Antigua and Barbuda. Very beautiful country indeed. Thank you for joining us again, and from all of us here at West Indies Cricket Development Academy, goodbye.
Our hearts beat to the city's